Let me see if I can show you this without getting in the way too much. If the dancers seem to be working okay, these things are going up and down. But sometimes if you turn it this way, it jams. It's not going to do it. There it is. It jams that way sometimes.
And an inventor, and he's credited with, and he seems to have had a bit of a brainstorming session. In 1883, he comes up with the recall system, which is what the Maxim gun uses.
We're loving this that rain.
Whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Unfortunately, in this case, everything is improbable, and nothing is impossible. And the truth is...
Hello, New York. I'm Lyle Rand, editor for the 3 o'clock news, Walter Spencer. And it's time now for the big show of the afternoon, Radio New York.
Where they're doing a very useful job making continent toothpaste. Making what? Toothpaste for worlds where they've used up all the forests.
Ah, look, the statue. How did you get the couplet to stay where it is, unsupported?
It stays there because it's artistically right. What? Well, have lunch with a girl. What? Ooh, yeah. Maybe play... Maybe play footsie under the table.
Oh, that should keep you busy. Bye now.
And also accosted thus.
Off you goes there, friend or foe.
Depends what you like.
All my irons.
it's too close to the bottom. Stupid twit. That'll be fixed. Take my advice, folks. Don't be stupid.
It's Wednesday night, so we take you now to Duffy's Cabin.
Well, Mrs. N, love sometimes strikes in the most unusual places. And I think I'd like to speak with Mr. Finnegan.
I have the hideous corpus right here, Mr. Anthony. Where? Right here. Now, what's the name?
This one.
Where do you
Yeah,
live?
well. Okay, right. What I need to do is
Your
to
mother's name?
1907.
let's see if it works now. No.
Well, Mr. Anthony, I believe that gives you
No.
a clear-cut picture of the case. Have you
Let's see if
reached
this
a
gives us
decision?
I have. Mrs. N,
Yes, Mr. A.
my advice to you is to go back to your husband.
Well, it so happened that it was said to me by my boyfriend, Rodney Maximilian.
This is a bit better now. The moon is moving with a bit more sort of dignity, and the dancers are still dancing.
It so happens that at Barnaby's Barber College,
So I
Rodney
think
is the only one to hold a safety
that
award.
prototype number 2 is a much more of a goer.
Yes.
Maybe you better read it. What happened so much?
That's not a bad start. That's not a bad start. A few days later now, and I decided that I'd build it out a bit more. Since I have this shaft here, which is the one for the big cog, I thought it seemed a shame not to use this shaft. So I've stuck these little thingamies on these wee wooden rods on here to work as sort of cams, and then this wee dude here is going to be my cam follower, and so and that means that I have to build it out a bit here to have a shaft to have a cam shaft. So if I turn it, you can see that thing going up and down. And if I have something on here that will come up through the top, then I can have something else that will go up and down in the area where the joke is going on. No, I don't think so. But don't worry. I think I got an idea. Let me see if I can show you what I've done here. I've used what's called the ball end of a guitar string. That little thing there. You see there's a hole right through it. I used it here. I think you can just see it in there. Well, I thought this thing with the guitar strings was a stroke of genius, but it doesn't seem to be working out as well as I'd hoped. I put these bits of modelling clay on the top to act as weights so that the cams here will, the cam followers will respond a little bit better. As you can see, number 3 here is trying to work its way off, which it has. And the way they're going up and down, this one is okay. 3 isn't doing anything. 2 isn't doing anything. 1 has fallen off now as well. You can see the effect is less than dramatic. So I thought this was all a very good idea, but it just doesn't seem to be working out very well. But that's why we make prototypes, isn't it? I'm just sort of, don't mind the trial. I'm just a bit fed up with the error. Oh well, stay tuned. Well, it's a few days later. A nice lady from the hardware store and I went to the coffee shop and we had a long discussion about this. And together we decided, by which I mean she persuaded me, that this was too complicated for for this one, so I'm gonna just get rid of this and leave it for another day, because I do like it. I like the idea of it, but it's just not working out with this one. So it's time to think of something else, and I think I've got another idea. So let's get rid of this right now. Now that leaves me with this shaft, and I think what I'll do is I will replace this shaft with one like this one. Cams on this, on a new shaft, which is on the big cog, but I want to put them here and here so they don't snag on these ones. Let me just check that first before I go any further. This way, right, they're not going to bump into each other. And I will this one along. While we scoot the old accelerator. Okay. Yeah, put these little blocks of wood on to weigh them down onto the cams. They were working very well with no weight on them. So let's have a look and watch the dancers and see if they dance. And you can see them going round and jigging up and down a bit. So they all spin beautifully, and you can see the ones in the front are spinning, I think it's 3 times as fast as the ones at the back. They're quite close together, aren't they? Might be able to fix that elsewhere. So I think I'm getting close to my final iteration. I think we'll call this prototype number, what was it, number 4, I think? Well, this is the final mechanism prototype. There are things that I'm happy with. I like the way the little blocks here on the top, these little dancers, I'll come to that in a second, are spinning around at different speeds and going up and down. I like that. I like the movement of this, the moon, almost at the sun. I think it's a bit more dignified than the way it was in the first iteration. But there are things I want to change. For example, the dancers seem to be crowded together here. I would like to move them apart. But then, of course, that means moving the shafts as well, and that means moving the gears. So everything has to be slightly rejigged. But this is the point at which I want to do my refinement, and I'll make a kind of, not a prototype exactly, but my first iteration of my final job. I have to decide on the final dimensions and size of this. Do I want it smaller? It looks a bit bulky to me at the minute. Perhaps I could make it a little bit smaller. So why do I keep calling these dancers? Well, it's because they're dancing by the light of the moon. And how did that come about? Well, I was making a little shelf with a curved front to it, and it was too long, so I cut the curved part off in an echoing curve, and it made this crescent moon shape. And immediately I started to think, and they danced by the light of the moon. I thought, where does that come from? What does that mean? Well, here's where it's from. And at the end of that, you get, and dance by the light of the moon. How that popped up in my mind, I can't imagine, because that program hasn't been on for about 30 years. They'd all be 60 something by now. Anyway, that's what made me think of this. So, isn't it strange where the ideas come from? So I think that's the end of part 1, the prototyping part. But stay tuned for the next part when I try and turn the prototype into a proper piece. thanks for watching. God's greatest blessings on you, and stay tuned for the next part.
And dance by the light of the moon.